meeting. And also, since the meeting is being recorded and live streamed in YouTube, please feel free to change your names and turn off your camera if you seek anonymity. We would also ask you to add pronouns to your name so that you do the best to use them. Our guest for the evening is an artist. He's an illustrator. He's an educator. He doesn't actually need any introduction. Please welcome Siddhesh, or also known as Bakery Prasad. Please, Siddhesh.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me here. And thanks for already saying thanks for bearing me for the next few minutes, or I don't know. But yeah, so I was like, this is a great initiative taken by so many, very interesting people from different fields. And, I'm really excited about being here and being a part of this. I was told about the last class how it started with the names, and people were given to write about around their names and everything. So I want to take this thing a little further, and I would like to talk about mental blocks, because or creative blocks, because I go through them a lot. And time by time I get these blogs, and I try to figure out how to come out of them, because there are a lot of things on Google that that they say have tea, or do this or that, but it doesn't work that way. I think everybody is an individual. Since everybody is producing their own work, so they have their own remedies for such breaks, that or such stucking movements, or whatever. So how I see is how I see this creative block is I go to this introspection about myself, about what I really want from from not just the project in which I'm stuck in, but also from just the existence, and a lot of philosophical questions. Like in the last class, how you wrote about your names. Now in this class, maybe we are going to ask these philosophical questions from ourselves, because as I said, the remedies can only be found in us, and only we will be able to find our own way out of these creative blocks. Because it is also important to find a way, because you can't just wait sometimes, especially in professional. When you're a professional, you have, your time is money, your time is value. And some projects are are on such fast track that you cannot afford to take some time out, and maybe go on for a vacation or something like that. So you have to be realistic about how things are. So what I basically do is I stand in front of the mirror, and I ask these random questions to myself, that who am I, and why am I here. And I try to, every time I see myself, I see something different in me. The questions are different every time. It is dependent, it is so much dependent on the situation. You just need that silence, and that being yourself with yourself. You are not there to to portray a part of you to a society or anything. You are there as you. So I think I would like to introduce you to this similar exercise. Like if you would like to do this along with me, I'll also try to do it. Like I would like you to use your phone, and switch on your camera, and just look at you, look at yourself, look at whatever you find interesting in yourself. It could be your eyes, it could be it could be based on how different you are. It could be based on how similar to you are to other people. It could be anything. Just look at your phone, and try to see yourself for some time. And if you have your art supplies, anything, a pen, sketch pen, anything, you can just you know take anything from your from what you see on your camera, and just try to get the essence of it. If you are drawing an eye, you do not have to draw an eye like an eye. It could be like that, but it what you really see, you do not have to show it to anybody, because it is just for you. It is it could be abstract, it could be it could have a feeling, it could have a form, it could have a geometry, anything.
Siddesh, can I jump in here 1 second? Yeah. So I'm so glad you jumped right into the activity. One of the things I wanted to share with the team is that we have a list of questions that we collected from all of you as part of Eventbrite registration when you were coming over here. And definitely within the Indian context, and I think we discussed this, Siddesh, and other in the meeting with the team, that in Indian context for sure, writing has ceased to be a form of expression, and it has only been something which we write to get graded, to get marks, to get into a college, or to get admission, or something like that. So one of the things we wanted to make sure was that we give permission to ourselves. We unlearn that we write only if you have to be graded, only if we get 100 out of 100, or with a target like that. So we wanted to bring something about writing can be as a form of expression. Many of us already, like I think when I look at the community who have reached out to me and chatted with me in individual capacity, I don't know all of you as students, but each one of us has communicated with us. We realize that many of you are already in that, just that little cusp, like you're on the edge of realizing that you want to write to express, not like you're past that point where you will still write your dissertations, you'll still do your exams and everything, but you want to take writing as something that you can express. And at that point in time, I think Siddesh and I were talking, and also the team, and we realized that one of the things we freely express, maybe for Siddesh it's hard because he is an artist, but for us, if you were to ask me to write something, it will be like, oh, you want me to write? I have to sit down. I have to get my tea. Well, my desk is not right. I'll clear it out and everything. But if you were to tell me, hey, here's a piece of paper and here's some crayons, go to town, I would go to town. So we wanted to see, I mean, it's a long shot, but we wanted to see if such joy and freedom of expression that we can have when we pick a piece of paper and crayons and go to like a childhood state of expression can be brought in here. And that's where we thought, why not start with an art exercise itself and have Siddesh share things with us. So I think this context, Siddesh, does this help? That way now students, we did share some of this in the emails, but I don't want students or attendees here to think that, well, I came here because I have a very specific question about my writing. Why aren't we discussing that specific question and then I can leave, or that's all I want? But hopefully you all understand that we are trying to make you free to express, and that's where we are, because the writing itself will come along the way. So I took a little longer than I wanted to, but Siddesh, I just wanted to set this context so attendees are a little grounded as to what we are doing here. Why are you asking them to do what?
Yeah, let me add to it also. Yeah, I guess I missed that point. I should have, laid some foundation. So, it is a very human thing to draw, because if you see, I see writing as drawing. It is an abstract form of drawing. The way things are composed in harmony and everything. It is very similar. It is very similar to music as well. So all the forms of expressions are somehow interconnected, and somehow if you see a lot of biographies of different people from these different areas, you'll see one very common thing, which is called doodle or scribbles. They all used to scribble. Most of them, be it a writer or a sculptor or a musician, they were doing something with this, with their hand, which, because it is one of the first forms of expressions. Remember, imagine, 40,000 years ago, when, human beings were, in the caves, they started drawing. There was no language. There was nothing, but these drawings in the caves, in Bhimbetka, in MP, they are there in Argentina, they are in France. In the same time period, in different parts of the world, people are somehow doing very similar things. They are drawing about what they are looking around them. If you see in Bhimbetka, it's in MP, and there are drawings of rhinoceros, two-horned rhinoceros. So this gives us, this is the documentation of that time. There is no other language. Because of that, we know that, there were rhinoceros in MP in those times. So, they were not just, and there are a lot of artistic expression as well. So there is a cave in France, in Argentina. So where I call it the first self portraits, because there are these impressions of hands. So, and it has been like that cave was built for, like people came there and painted for centuries. For centuries, people were coming, just giving their hand impressions. That was the first self portrait, that collectively, people made. So from there, it is a very basic instinct that human beings have. When we are sitting outside, having a chai, and we see, there is a stick, and we start to draw on ground. We are doing these random things. When we see a piece of paper and we are bored, or we are not doing anything, we try to give it a form, fold it in a certain way or something like that. So this is the basic human curiosity that we have. And I think when we take this thing forward, we can really expand our views. Because if we are really stuck that I am a writer, and if I'm really stuck that with this thought that I'm a writer, this is what I'm going to do. I'm a musician, I'm only going to produce music, or make music. I'm an illustrator, I'm only going to illustrate. This is not going to explore me to the best of the limits. So the best thing that human beings have been doing so far is exploring these different different arenas around them. And there are a lot of interesting, like if you see our icon Baba Saheb Ambedkar, while he is a member of Constituent Assembly, he's also learning to play violin, and that is a very difficult instrument to learn. So the kind of curiosity that he had, there's a friend of mine who is an architect, and he worked on Chaitya. And there are drawings that Dr. Ambedkar has done, architectural drawings about his house, and how things should be. Imagine, we only see him as this scholar who has gone abroad and read some books and has been writing that way. No, he's also drawing Buddha and doing all these things. So this is how curious humans have always been. So we are not horses, we are not pet horses who have I don't know what they call those blinds that you can only see in one direction. We're human beings, we have all this periphery, and we have this neck. We might not have a vision of an owl, but we can always rotate our necks and see what is in the back, what we left behind, or what we forgot about. So I think this was also the context. So sometimes when we get out of our comfort zone, when we start to see other things, I see visuals when I listen to music. So this happened when I started to listen to more music. I started to indulge myself in music. Let me also try to play this. How difficult could it be? You can always, we are curious people. We are here to express ourselves. We are here to tell new stories to the world. We need to see those new stories, ourselves. Then only, we can, I think, express in a better way, or more
freely.
Or new aesthetics will be devised from these kind of practices, when we'll see a lot of things. Picasso used to draw these wonderful drawings, like his father left drawing after looking at how good he is. But the cubism, the later cubism, he was one of the forefathers of cubism. How he arrived to that, that journey was because of, he saw a lot of sculptures, a lot of masks from African culture and everything. And then, from realism to all that European nonsensical, realism and everything, he left everything. And he gave birth to, to this new thought of, looking at things. So this is how it's, now those were not paintings, Picasso is not interested in somebody else's painting. He's interested in these thousands of years old, tribal masks and everything. And then, he's taking inspiration from there and he's making his own language. Now you can, you see a Picasso, a Picasso. So that's how it happened with a lot of people, be it Dali, be it, Frida Kahlo. They've been looking at different things, even the current pop culture, it explodes a lot. And this is somehow, we just have to, break off from these blinds that we have, kept for ourselves and just, rotate our necks and see, what is happening around. So I think,
Siddesh, so in this, I think I'll take this as a jumping off point, basically. So those of you who attended the class, one of the exercises that Linda had shared was about expressing, and the very specific topic was about name. So we have first name and last name, most of us in general. So the request or the homework or whatever was to actually write about. So in the class itself, most students wrote about one or the other. Like if my first name is Siddhartha, so I wrote something that my feelings that come from it. What do I feel about it? How do I go about it? When I say my name is Siddhartha, how do I feel about it? And all that stuff. So I was wondering, and then the homework was to take the other part of the name which you have not touched upon and then write about it. And that's where I think some of the students have done it. Some of the students are concerned about how to go about it and everything. So again, I want to take their concern or burden of writing away. And I wanted to see, the same way you said, pick something and write. Can we actually, I'm hoping that all of the attendees have some kind of art supplies in front of you. Piece of paper and pencil is the bare minimum if you have, or some of you might be on the digital extreme and have an iPad with a stylus and all that stuff, whatever maybe, and some in between with like some crayons or whatnot. Can we focus on one of that? So I was wondering if we could do like 2 exercises. One exercise can be all attendees continuing on. Actually, can we just do the first exercise where we take a paper and where you were, take whatever you have. Can you just draw what comes to you in this moment after having discussed all this? What feelings, how are you feeling, or what would you express in this moment being here with all of us in the same space? We're all from the community. What does that evoke? What did you listen to or consume over news today or whatever? Is that something we can do for the next 5 to 10 minutes? What do you think, Siddesh?
Yeah.
And then what we will do is then we will go to the second exercise, and the second exercise will still be art, nothing writing yet. I know you're all here to write, but bear with us here. We are trying to just help expand and explore, I think. So can we do 2 exercises? The first one is right now, for the next 5 minutes or so, 10 minutes, just draw what is in your mind. What would you, if you were alone, have a piece of paper, colors, pens or whatnot, can you just draw whatever you want? And I think if you all see Siddesh's screen, he is already on it. He is cheating. So please go. And he's an expert at it. So you guys gotta go. And then what I wanted to ask is that if at the end of this exercise, if you're all willing to share what you have drawn with us, I have given you all a link in Google. If you can put that there, I just want to showcase what we do in these sessions and show a different way of thinking for our community. So by putting your pictures there, if you consent to it, we would like to then share it on Instagram and elsewhere without your name or whatnot. If your picture shows your signature and your name fully written, easily legible, then we can't help it. But we are hoping that some of you will share with us your masterpieces that we'll have as archives for one, but also for social media. So it's about, I have to calculate in my head. It's about 7:23 right now. Can we take the next 7 minutes and draw? But please use the chat if you want to engage with us. So there's that. I have to go run, get my piece of paper and then stuff. I'm just so, and then yeah. So, and then Siddesh, I think because you're drawing, you can kind of comment if you want to keep people engaged or something. But otherwise, you don't have to talk at all. We can give them that 5 minutes to draw.
Yeah, I think the silence is
sometimes better.
Talk and then people are driven into what they're saying.
Okay. The next 5 minutes, everybody attendees, you have silence. I can even shut off my video and stuff. So please go ahead and
Maybe I
draw.
can play Bach or Beethoven in the
Oh yeah,
background.
yeah. Please do that. Play some music for us. Thank you so much. Siddesh, I think we don't see you hear your music. So one thing I think you may have, I don't know if you are playing music for us or was that just a suggestion, but you're
Taking
not.
time. I don't. Yeah. Fine.
2 minute warning, but we can also give you more time if you want. And if possible, before we actually look at your art, we would like you to show it, obviously, but before we see your art, if each one of you who wants to share anything, what do you think of this exercise? And then what did you feel as you were doing the exercise? I think we would like to hear from you before Siddesh or I talk. What do you think, Siddesh?
Sure, makes sense.
Yeah. I keep forgetting to put my headset on, so.
Yeah, I started fast, but then I.
You want to paint the world, that's the problem. if any of you want to enable your videos to just show us what you're doing, obviously do remember that this will go on to YouTube and this will be recorded. So if at all you're comfortable, actually, how would I see you? Because it's in the speaker view. We'll have to figure it out. But at this point in time, it's we gave you all a few minutes. Any of the participants, do you want to share what's going on? I mean, perhaps your thing is, Sid, we didn't think this was going to be an art exercise. Maybe that's all you want to express. Whatever. Would you like to raise your hands and talk, any one of you, about what we are doing here? If you think it's helping your writing, is it helping you at all? Or I'll give some of you a few minutes. I should be able to see the hands raised, or if you can't find out how to raise your hand digitally, you can put it in the chat window. If any of you want to talk, I will unmute you. I need to color. Oh my God. So people don't want to talk. They just want to color. They're like, but I don't want to call out names, but does anybody want to come on speaker and talk? I can unmute them. Basically, we just want to hear from you what's going on in your mind. How is this exercise helping you? And if you want to share your screen, or share what you have drawn. Maybe, okay, let me share what I have done. Maybe people are thinking that, I wonder if people are thinking that I drew 2 lines and maybe that's not good enough to show to everybody. Maybe if I show what I have drawn, maybe people will be like, oh, if that's what he thinks art is, then maybe.
Oh, this is nice.
Guys, I just heard Siddesh say that my art is nice.
The colors, like, this is expression.
Yeah, and I actually I want to show you guys that I do this on and off. So hopefully you can see. I'm going to just flip my thing. You see that wall over there with the paintings that I put up there? It's just me, depending on the mood that I have, picking up whatever colors I want and just smearing. I call myself a smearer more than an artist because I take colors and I smear them on a canvas. So, well, now that I have shown you what I made, does anybody want to show us what they made? But more important than sure. Oh yeah, go ahead, Siddesh.
I'm black and white.
Oh, nice.
And I'm shaved.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's like me speaking and there are no eyes that I can see. I generally see people and yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. Okay, I have to take care of a admin related thing. Somebody messaged me saying that they're not able to get into the team, but I really want some participation from anybody. Like, again, obviously no pressure, but if in the next 1 minute nobody wants to talk about their art or how they're feeling more like it, we can move on.
Or not feeling anything at all.
Oh, I have a hand raised. There you go, Satyam. I'm gonna ask Satyam to unmute, and then Orgia after that.
Hi everyone. It's so good to just like be here, and thank you so much for doing this. I would like to show what I've made, and that might just
yeah.
Feeling.
Satyam, may I interject a second here? So for those of you who want to share but don't want to come on video, you can put your picture in the link that I have given you. Like, just take a cell phone picture and put the picture in the link that I have given you. That way I can share my screen and you can talk in anonymity if you want. But Satyam, you seem to be okay with being on video. So please go ahead.
Yeah, so I think it started with when Siddharth started sharing about we have to look at our faces and try and look at the differences or the similarities, and then whatever we see, draw. So I actually ended up drawing a couple of faces for myself, thinking about what other people have noticed or what other people have said, what I have noticed, what I have said. And then I think, Siddharth, at some point you said that the news that you've been hearing and how that has made you feel. So that made me draw this, which is, I don't know, it's just been like in the last couple of days, going through news has been really heartbreaking in a lot of different ways. With a lot of news coming from different parts of the country. And I know that's very real, but it's just this is all I could feel, like a sense of being stuck, a sense of being like somewhat like caged somewhere. Um, and yeah, so I just wanted to express that.
Oh, this is so nice.
Satyam, would you be open to taking a picture of that and uploading it for us to that link? We will. And are you okay if we then put it on social media and stuff? Oh, I think you gave a thumbs up. Is that for us? Well, if we see your picture in the Google Doc, that's Google shared album, that's our consent. I would take it. Oh, how to upload it in the link? So when you click on the link, does it not allow you to upload a picture there? Like let me give you the link again, because it was like 4 chats ago. Okay, Orge, I'm gonna unmute you, and then also you can come on video or whatnot, but you're next.
I'll keep the video switched off because again, I'm not joining in as a participant, as an attendee. But I just wanted to I don't know where this discussion is going ahead, but I specifically for myself and for some of my friends here wanted to come back to the discussion of this creative block that Siddesh started talking about. So this is something that I personally have been struggling. Again, I am no artist, I'm no writer, but even just simple, like even writing whatever I am feeling or whatever I'm experiencing, even that thing is somehow very difficult and it's not happening. So I know that there are a lot of reason why the creative block happened in the first place, but if we can, like, have that discussion a little bit more, I think this will be helpful for the participants, the students here also, because again, this is something I think everybody struggles with in one way or the other. So if like Siddharth, you're cool with that, maybe a little discussion, a little bit more detailed discussion about that.
Yeah, so what we have structured, and I think some of us back here know, is that we will continue with this exercise and then the name related exercise, but then this class goes till 8:30 p.m. So we'll make sure that the last half an hour is exclusively just to talk about creative blocks and everything and all that stuff. But we will get back to the discussion. Yes, I absolutely agree. We are trying to do some exercises to show breaking of creative block when you are in a different kind of art form rather than writing, but we'll have that discussion soon. We'll come back to that discussion and have that. Abba, seems like there is a chat window there. I think maybe you can just read it out loud for everybody. Seems
Yeah,
like
so Smith has described his painting. He says that, I'm sorry if I'm misgendering you. I have just drawn a big kurta on A4 size sheet with a tote bag hanging by it, and near its neck there is one very small worldly sketch trying to come out of kurta. The way I'd interpret it, big shoes to fill.
yeah, thank you. I do have another person who wants to come on and talk or share their video. So Kamali, please go ahead.
Okay.
You're
You're on. Okay. Can you all see?
Yeah, that's my dad, by the way, and my mom. Appa, do you explain చేయాలనుకుంటున్నావా? ఏం గీసినావో explain చేస్తావా? అమ్మనా అప్పనా? ఎవరు?
Yes,
Which one of you has drawn, and do you
this
want to
is
explain what it is?
this is mine.
Can you
Yeah, it's a boat.
boat? Two people sitting on
Okay.
the boat, and then
Kamali,
fly.
can you ask Appa to explain why he drew that? What was in his mind when he drew that?
Usually I feel like moving in a sea and traveling in a boat. Many times I have that feeling, so I drawn this.
Nice.
Okay, thank you.
Right.
Amma is eager to show you. So this
Okay.
is what.
Uh, can you translate? Can you, Amma? What did you draw, and why did you draw?
She
What you
loves
draw?
gardening and she loves green color and she enjoys nature. So rainbow.
Okay,
Butterflies
thank you.
and
Okay, thank you. Oh, okay. I think I'm gonna unmute and ask Srishti to share, because I have to go find you, Srishti, because okay. Srishti, you should be unmuted.
Hello.
We can hear you.
On the
Your audio is pretty poor, actually. Can you try again? Oh, yes, we can see the flowers and the beautiful stuff that you have drawn, but
Yeah.
we can't hear you right now.
here is a lot of noise.
Oh, that's okay. We can deal with the noise. I mean, if anything, we all in India should know how to deal with background noise. And I'm losing it literally and figuratively. Literally in the sense of traffic and everything, figuratively in the sense of all the cast noise and the oppression noise, and we still live and exalt in our life. So do you want to actually show it again and speak? I'll give you another, and then we can move forward. That's beautiful. I mean, if you want to upload it to that link, please do. So
Tiny flowers with big flowers. I like this. How people see everything. It's so nice.
Yeah. So I think, Siddesh, I don't know if anyone else has to show any of this specific kind of draw what you want. Can we give them the next exercise of, within the class framework, name, your own name was what was asked to write about. People were asked to write about what their name meant to them, how they feel about it and everything. Can we now take another piece of paper or whatever you want to do and think about your name, your first name, be it first name or last name, and do the same thing. When you put, first thing we would request is that put your name on there in letters, first name or last name. And then from there, if that is your seed, if that is what you're planting into the soil, what would come out of it? Can we do that for another 5 minutes and then come back? And then we can, and that is your homework. It's just that instead of actually writing, you're painting your homework. And then after that, we'll take a quick break. We'll have you explain, take a break, and then we'll actually have that discussion of creative blocks and options to break through it. So again, another 5 minutes, and if I may request Siddesh to play music again, that might help the students, attendees. Another 2 minutes, and then we'll bring you all back into class to share what you have drawn or how you have felt doing it. You guys ready to wrap up? I'm just giving you all extra time, but anybody wants to raise their hands and share more about, this is your name, how was it personal, and then how did you then add imagination to it or your feelings to it, and kind of how did the art evolve? Anybody, volunteers who wants to go first? And thank you to those who have uploaded your work to that link. I see a few of them and they're beautiful. Thank you. So anybody want to share what they have drawn or express what they have felt while doing this exercise? If not, I'll go to Siddesh actually and have him.
I need to.
You need another minute. Seems like a perfectionist to me.
It's just incomplete.
Okay. So basically, for everybody participants, if you have put your name down and drawn whatever it is that you have drawn, why did you draw what you did? And then how does it make you feel? That's what we want to listen and hear. And how is expressing things in this way easier than expressing in words?
I'm done.
Okay, we'll go ahead with Siddesh. Siddesh, as you put your name down and you added whatever feelings were around it and whatever was your imagination, what did you come up with? And you can explain it a little bit. And just I want to make sure that are all of our participants a little antsy and a little hesitant to share because we have Siddesh out there on the other side. I think that's the main thing we are actually trying to break. We are trying to ensure that your writing, your work is great. So it's not per what the other person's view of your art is. Your art is yours to express. So feel free to express without thinking what the other person on the other side is going to think, because that other person doesn't exist if you don't give them all that bow.
I just have more practice. That's all. We all think alike. It's just about the practice. So the writers, if they are practicing their writing, they are better writers. I don't know if anybody is better than anybody, anyways.
Yeah. So should we go to your art? Do you want to share with us what you have drawn and why and what it made you think about?
Actually, I'll like my name is I don't go with my name. I don't like my name. I don't know why I was named Siddesh, which means Lord of Siddhi or what, I don't know, but it's some god's name. So I really don't like this because of my name. People take me as some really serious person, especially in Northern India, because Siddesh is not a common name in North India. So I don't know, but this name has some I don't know, something with it that people perceive me as a very serious person, that I'm very serious about life. I cannot be joking around and everything. So
how has that come across in your art now?
Yes, so I've made 2 portraits of mine. So there is one who is like more dramatic, who is like, and then there is this one who is this
The one that goes with the name.
yeah, and then there is my name written both sides, but there is a asterisk in what I really am. and this is how people perceive me, and this is whole city, everything else.
So you're just sticking your tongue out, like you're just like,
Yeah,
is
I'm
that
not bad. Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
So
Yeah.
I'm accepting
Um,
my name, but it is. So I'm not going to change it anyways. But yeah.
yeah. Okay. Anyone else have anything to share, whatever you've drawn or however you're feeling? Okay, I don't want to belabor that. Seems like I've asked a few times and it's not forthcoming, so that's fine. What can we take Siddesh, I know you were on here only to be there for like the first 45 minutes. Can you be on for another 15-20 minutes, or do you have other engagements?
No, sure. I'll be here.
Okay, why don't we all take about 4 minutes break or so, and then we can actually come to questions. Maybe I'll ask people to ask questions. Maybe that will do. So let's take a 5-minute break, come back at 8 o'clock your time, and then we'll chat. So 5 minutes break, everyone. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. I think we are done with that art part of the exercise. So basically, we just wanted you to feel the expressiveness come through, but not as which doesn't usually come through when you're writing. So I keep forgetting my headset, so I'm sorry if you couldn't hear me. But basically, welcome back. Yeah, my bad. Welcome back, everyone. Basically, we are done with that art part of the exercise, but it was much more for all of you to experience art in the form of a expression, while writing sometimes have some inhibitions for us. So at this point in time, I think what I'll do is that if you have questions that we have Siddesh, we have Kamna, we have Ria, and Kamna, please let me know if anyone else is there. All of them have experience with creative writing or creative expression or whatnot. How about we take questions from you around writing, creative blocks, and we'll try to answer those questions to the best ability that we have, because we are only in some cases a step ahead of you. We don't know all the answers, but please go ahead and ask questions if you have. I also have questions from the from what do you call, from Eventbrite itself, where you all registered. So some of that can also be used, I guess. Kamna, we can't hear you. Can you?
Am I audible?
Yes, we are here. We can hear you now.
Yeah, this is what I was suggesting. We can take the feedback from, and because we have a lot of questions, and we can like take those instead of asking people individually, and then like if anyone wants to have a specific query solved, then we can take those questions individually.
Sure. So let me pull up
I'll also open it.
and maybe
Yeah.
let me see. Am I on the right one? Okay. Your hands and share more about. Okay, let me see. Do you want me to share it so you can all see it? I don't have names of people asked. I've taken that off. We just have questions that people have asked. Yeah. So let me share my screen. Can you all see the spreadsheet, or are you seeing the Word document?
I can see the spreadsheet.
Okay. So here are the questions that we broached in the session, in the Eventbrite registration. So we'll go one at a time. So what is it that you're struggling with? I'm on column D. Some of you have done the homework, and we want you, and you want some of us to review it. I think we have to just take it up in a different session, I think. So some of them have a mental block. So maybe I will actually unshare this thing, but maybe Kamna, you can share with us what you do when you have a mental block and you have to push through some writing. And then Siddesh, you can add to it too. And maybe Ria, if Ria is around, I can make Ria a co-host too, so she can speak.
Can I start?
Yeah, go ahead, Kamna.
Yeah, so I have this experience from like both as 1 second, I'll have to disable something. Yeah. So this experience of having a mental block is something that I have experienced both as a person and like as an instructor as well. So a lot of times my students would come up to me and like tell me that they're having a hard time in putting their words on paper. And the same thing also happened with me personally when I was writing my dissertation. And most of the times when such things happen, like the thing that keeps us from writing is the act of being vulnerable and the act of being seen. So my dissertation was again autoethnographic. And when I asked people to write essays in my course when I was teaching, so again, it had more to do with people as individuals, which is very similar to what Linda has asked us to do, like in the course. So whenever it's about us, and we start writing, a lot of thoughts like, is our language okay? Or is what I'm writing, is it appropriate? And such thoughts come, and this is where the stress builds up. So as a coping mechanism, what we do is we're not going to write at all. So it's similar to like, I mean, going to a new place and feeling like bad about yourself because you are not really willing to put yourself out there and like, to make mistakes. So what I tell my students or even myself is that, this is my space where I need to like, I mean, I'm not going to show it to anyone. I'm just going to write it for myself. And even if it's like, going to be not okay, or like, if it's not really looking as how I want it to be for me, like, I don't really want to, I mean, like the battle is between our tendencies to like, bringing the best draft in the first go. So I think keeping that thought in check and being conscious about it. I maintain a journal, I maintain a small diary whenever I'm writing or doing something that requires me to be vulnerable. And I write my thoughts, like, these thoughts, the troubling thoughts, like, on a piece of paper. And I tell myself I'm going to take care of it once I'm done with that, like, piece of writing or whatever, like, I'm doing at that moment that requires vulnerability from me. So if like the thought that, is my grammar okay? Is this good enough? Like I write that down like on a piece of paper and keep it aside on a sticky note. And then once I've written like, that piece, the goal is to have that piece in hand. So once I allow myself that, I don't have to bring in perfection in the first draft, I think that is where like, I slowly put my like, feet on the ground and I'm not on my toes anymore. That is where my writing begins. So this is again my personal experience, and this is what I tell my students. Like, this is your playground. Like, make as many mistakes as you want to. So once you give them and yourself the space to make mistakes, things get a little easier. So this is again what I'm going to tell everyone here. Like, this is your space. Make as many mistakes as you want. And we are here to assist you. Nobody is here to like, judge you, or like, we are not grading your assignments. This is like a purely personal experience of writing. So if you allow yourself to be like, you have to be conscious about it, because being like, vulnerability doesn't come naturally to us because of so many trauma experiences and the notions of merit that, that are constantly like, hovering on our like, mind, that, it has to be perfect and everything. So I don't know how much this resonates with you, but this is what I do. And this is what I tell my students, that let yourself be like, allow yourself to make mistakes, and like, we'll take care of the mistakes together. So this is a little bit from my side. And if you have any
Yeah.
questions, I'm happy to take them.
Thanks, Kamna. Should we go over to Ria? Is Ria, I've made you co-host if you want to share your input. And then
So see, one practice that I've been using all this while is that sometimes when you are directly told to work on a topic, maybe a research or maybe this particular homework per se, so we are resistant in terms of just starting and initiating, because we want to do a lot of thinking before we write. So the practice that I've used is that when I know that I have a deadline and I'm resisting way too much, or I do not have mental space to start, I would every day start with two things. Like, I'll write 3 things on paper that I'm celebrating about myself. And I write 3 things in the past week that I don't feel good about. Okay. And then from here, celebration part is, I think, the toughest, because we do not have an habit of celebrating ourselves for smaller things. So once I put down like 3 points, which I'm like, it can be, okay, I got up on time. Okay. And I've put 3 things, then 3 things that didn't go well in the past week. Then out of this, I pick up something which is very light, where I can just write what happened. So I am not putting in anything extra, anything creative. I will just pen down, okay, so that day I got up at that time. This is what happened. This is what happened. So I'm just narrating. So what it does for me is that it puts me in a practice of writing some 250 words a day. So only narration of what has happened. It can be in any language. It can be in Hindi, it can be in English, or whatever language you're comfortable with. So this just helps you in putting down whatever is going in your head on paper. So this is one technique that I use, and regularly using it has helped me in my academic life. So this is, again, like as Kamna said, this is a personal technique that I use. And I think it has been helpful for a couple of my friends that we have used. So maybe people can try that.
thank you so much, Ria. I have a question that has been sent to me. I'll read it out, and maybe Siddesh, you can answer this one. So a participant asks, I used to write as an act of expressing what I could not speak about, but lately, the more I have started exploring my identity, it's been difficult to write. I feel like there is a threshold below which it is easier to write, but beyond that threshold, it is paralyzing. What do I do when I find myself beyond that threshold? And Siddesh, if you want this in writing, I don't. I made sure that the question itself is anonymous, but it is a big question, so I'm gonna paste it as coming from me to the group. That way, I think everybody knows what the question is. And you can see that Siddesh now in the chat. It's a little larger question, so I want to make sure it's there. So this is from a participant who sent it directly to me. So if that is something you want to do, if any of you have a question but don't want to ask us publicly, you can shoot it to me or your host, actually, Abba. And Abba can also read it out for you without mentioning who it is from.
Am I audible?
Yes, Abba, very much so.
Yeah, so I'll read the question. It says that I wanted to add this question if there's enough time. I used to write as an act of expressing what I could not speak about, but lately, the more I have started exploring my identity, it has been difficult to write. I feel like there is threshold below which it is easier to write, but beyond that threshold, it is paralyzing. What do I do when I find myself beyond that threshold?
I guess I was in a similar situation some years back. Like I personally in my life, I have been lying about my caste, ever since I went out, because I did not wanted to, have this discussion at all, because I was very, very career conscious. I've always been very career conscious. Once my family was all about, that if you don't get educated, if you don't get a good, job in a good place, there is nothing that we can do. We have no other capital. So, this was the only thing. And I did not wanted to get into all these things. So I used to lie. I used to, valiantly lie to the people that, I am a Brahmin, and, I had learned some things, from my father's friend, and, Gotra Gaon and everything, I would just say this, and, you can take a leave, and, you can work on whatever you are working on. But my identity crisis, actually, and living a lie is also not an easy task, but it is, it is that ignorance is somehow, you do not have to think much about, certain things, especially about yourself, which is very uncomfortable at times, thinking about yourself, your own identity. When I revealed my identity to people because of certain, circumstances and everything, I had no clue what I am doing, what I am supposed to do, where, my career should be, and everything was so irritating. I was at that point of time, I was working in a studio, and we were getting these really interesting projects from really interesting companies, especially startups like Zomato and everything. And I used to be a person who wanted to, work with these companies, because, they always have this freedom. They give you a lot of freedom to think and to, explore things and everything. And at that point of time, I was not at all interested in, what I thought my career would be based on. So, when I accepted what I am, when I accepted it, my identity, where I come from, and when I expressed it to the people, I almost felt that, my career is going nowhere from now. So it was a very difficult time. But then the only thing that I could do is, like to make myself, to make this thing clear that, what Baba Saheb Ambedkar once said, that, our life is a continuous struggle. And I really believe in that. Because, there are a lot of burdens, there are layers of burdens, and identity is a very, very bad burden, especially, in the kind of field I was in. So it is all about gold and glitters, the whole design industry is about that. Whole design industry talks about or brags about, how their ancestral homes are, made of timbers, or, they have big verandas and everything. We did not have anything like that. So, I have seen my old house, from a mud house being converted into, a brick house. So I come from that generation. So, everything was so alien. So I had, I started making up stories in my college that, we also have this veranda, we also have that. although it was all lies, I could never take those people back to my village and, show them where my ancestral house is. It is outside village and, whatever, all those things. And it is still kacha, it is not fully constructed or us tarike se. But, it took me some time. It took me some time to digest what I am. And once I realized that, there is nothing I can do about it. There is like, people will come and say and tell me, give me condolences and, tell me that, everything is going to be all right. They'll pat your back and everything, but it is not. The truth is that it is not, especially when you feel so alienated. You have to figure your own way out. You have to put up, even more work. It will be silly. It will be bad. My earlier work has been, when this transition happened, the colors were not coming right, the strokes were not coming right, the line quality was not right, everything was wrong. But the only thing that I could do is do it again and again and again and again and again, so that, that it is not about perfection. It is about acceptance, that, what you are, because you are still not able to accept yourself. I was not able to accept myself at that point of time. So I had to accept myself, by expressing it to myself, by throwing it on my face that, this is where, and it was not at all, my work never appreciate that, the misery of people. It is all about celebration. And I'm thankful that I went to that, that period where I started to, not see myself as somebody who is just oppressed. I also see myself as a scope, of, as a resource which has a lot of scope, because I come from a family which does not bind me to random rules of what to eat, what not to eat, what to say, what not to say, whose feet to touch, whose feet not to touch. And these boundaries are not there. Being born in an Ambedkarite family started making me feel proud about how progressive we are, how progressive our ideals were. And from those miseries and oppression, I started to come to this point that I am celebrating it. I'm not, it is not that I'm celebrating my caste, but I'm celebrating my existence, which has been made, which everybody has made sure that it didn't matter. It didn't matter according to their scriptures. It doesn't matter in the merit perspective as well. Because in every college I have heard this, it has been said to me that you are a result of reservation. Even though how much ever I would score, they would send me abroad for an exchange semester, but still I would hear that. And I am not, this cannot be stopped unless and until I become best at what I do. So when they have no words left, it is all about my hard work. It is all about accepting myself. And once you because this confidence is very important, once you can be a bad writer, but if you have that confidence of that, that is there, that this is the best thing that I have produced, people buy it. And this people have been doing. We have a lot of stories to tell. People have not heard our stories. People have not seen that perspective at all. Somebody else has been looking at us with a gaze and telling our stories. Now it is us who are coming up, telling our own stories. Like everywhere in the world, these marginalized communities who are coming up and telling their stories, how beautifully they are doing it, how beautifully the painters are picking up the colors, how beautifully the poets are writing their poetries, how beautifully the architects are producing buildings, how beautifully films are being made, music is being made. So I think it and everybody has gone through this this harshness. I think if we can, I always imagine myself as an artist, as somebody, like how it would have been in Harlem, when the cultural revolution was happening there. And, we need that kind of cultural revolution happening here as well. And I think this is a good place. We are, we are second generation, educated people, first generation educated people. There is, some Ambedkarite sound that can be heard, that, people are going abroad and everything. I think, if we accept that, if we think that, we are also scope, we are also, we also matter, our stories matter. It might not go with the aesthetics of the other people, but this is how we make our own aesthetics. This is how we make our own artistic movement, our own writing movements and other movements. So I think this dilemma is somehow will be there with people of our community, and we'll have to figure out and we'll have to fight it out. There is no other way, I guess. I don't know. I got
Yeah, no, Siddesh, thank you so much. So one of the things I want to share is the burden of writing, the burden of having to be perfect, the burden of having to be beyond exceptional to prove that you are a good writer, a good artist is something we all have. But part of this whole Bahujan collective idea is that we are here. You give us your story. We already understand the underlying concerns that you have. We will celebrate your story. Does it not? Hopefully that adds some value to you. 85% of the community who is from the Bahujan community will appreciate your thing, just because we know what it is, and we won't hold you to the, we'll have to unlearn the standards that we have been taught. But when we unlearn the standards that we have been taught, which is from the privileged group or whatnot, then obviously we are all going to be in a level playing field. We're not going to be an outsider going into their playground and playing for their rules. Our rules are different. We don't have rules, actually. The whole thing about Bahujan community is that everybody is doing what they can to survive, thrive, excel, and everything. So I think hopefully this will help. And that's where I think a coach like Linda also helps, because it could have been very easy for us to bring another coach who could have just picked a privileged person's standard of writing and could have just reiterated, do this, like rules. We want to take those out. We want to take those standards out. And when Linda comes in and teaches here, or you are sharing what you're sharing, it's all about how about we forget the rules for a minute. You tell us what you want to express. And you have already surprised us by sharing what it is that's so beautiful and everything. Now, yes, we will go into a commercial world, so we can fit this into that box if we have to, but start your thinking and raw material way outside the box as a free thinker or a free person. I think that's what we are trying to attempt. And Siddesh, I think you also are trying to share the same thing. We have about 5 minutes more to go. I have somebody who wants to talk, but before that, I want to ask if anybody who has not spoken yet, if they want to get a chance to speak up and ask something, share anything about this whole hour-long, an hour and a half thing, art, writing, whatever. So I'll give another 10 seconds to see if anybody raises their hand. Okay, meanwhile, I'll go ahead, and I do have somebody who wants to speak, so I'm going to go ahead and request them to unmute. Give me 1 second. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm audible, right?
Yes, Orgia, we can hear you.
Yeah. So, first of all, thank you, Siddesh, for making your point. And I think all of you are, Kamna, Riya, Siddesh, like you made brilliant points, and I probably will use them myself. But Siddesh, I'm going to disagree with you, and please don't take it as something in a negative way. I'm just like taking the discussion ahead. You made the point that we always have to deal with the taunts of reservation, ka kha rahe hain, and all that thing. So you said that we will have to prove them wrong. We will have to be best at what we are doing. I agree with your point that we should be putting in our best effort and doing the whatever we are doing, we should be doing it in the best possible way. But I think as a community and as individuals, maybe this burden that we put on ourselves that we have to be best is also something that is blocking us and stopping us from even just doing doing whatever we want to do. I really don't think the Savarnas have this pressure on themselves ki, Are, tum jo, like whatever you're doing, you have to be best at it. and otherwise your whole existence will come into question. Your whole community is going to be questioned because you are not best at whatever you're doing. So I really, again, I know that we are operating in a Savarna upper caste world, and we will have to play by their rule. But if we only put this pressure on ourselves, where we are like, okay, let's play by the rules of their game, like वो लोग जो बोल रहे हैं वैसे करते हैं. So I think somewhere, matlab, this is something I'm basically, this is something I'm trying to say it out loud to the students, to the young members who are also listening here, that maybe this is not a very good attitude, when we go out in the world and do our thing. कि आपको बेस्ट होना है, आपको सवर्णा को जाके प्रूव करना है कि I'm like, for example, if I am a lawyer, I just have to practice law in the best possible way, and, maybe do my job in the best possible way for myself, and maybe help my community. That's a different thing. But I don't have to get a certificate from some stupid Savarna person. I'm sorry for my ableist language, but from some ridiculous Savarna person, come and tell me that, Orghya, you have the merit or you have the intelligence to, even though tum reservation se aaye ho, you deserve this thing. No, I don't think that's what we should be striving for. So maybe we need to question this internalized inferiority complex that we all have developed in ourselves, where we think on terms ki, okay, I have to justify this, or I have to prove this wrong, or prove that right, or whatever. I think I would say this is something I tell myself, and this is something I would tell everyone around me. Just do your thing, like good, bad, mediocre, chota, bada, whatever it is, whatever the quality it is, just do your thing and just be yourself. The world is already traumatizing us enough. I don't think we need to put this pressure on ourselves that we have to be meritorious enough or, brilliant enough to somehow fit in that Savarna gaze of how things should be like. So again, Siddesh, this was like, I'm just trying to make a point that we need to have this discussion where we don't pander to Savarna ego. That's all. So
Yeah,
thank you for your point, Siddesh.
Thank you. I just wanted to add, it is not for Savarna gaze. My pressure is even bigger. I want to be, I want my people to be world thought leaders. I want them to stand in the global platform, and, because they are brilliant people.
Yeah.
They are brilliant people. They are not
they
at all
are.
mediocre. I was 5-year-old when I was painting on rickshaws. That's where I come from. And I want to go to MoMA, to the Modern Art Gallery, because I deserve that. Because my family has been doing that for ages. Before I went to NIFT, I had not stitched a cloth, but I stitched leather. I want to be the best because, I see my father's inferior. I am not inferior. I'm not proving it to Savarnas. No, they are not. They could not even compete me in my class. So it is not there. It is not about that. It is about, it is about way more than that. It is the anger. That is my expression. That is how I see the world. I'm not imposing. I've expressed how I felt, the rage that I had, why did it take so many years for that house to become a pakka house? My father was an officer. His colleagues, their standard of living and my standard of living, there is a huge difference. Where did this difference come from? And if we will, I still have family members who are not able to go to schools. My father and I have to, support them. Why is it that, in these 70 years of independence, of removal of untouchability, why is this that we are still not there? It was so ridiculous in college, when somebody asks about your, whether they do not say it on your face, they don't have those guts to say it on your face anymore. But, the way they take the conversations and everything, I hate living like that. I also want to be a free person. That's my only game. That's my only goal from this world, from this life. I want to die a free person. I do not want to die, as per somebody's gaze. I want to die with this satisfaction that yes, finally, mera makan pakka ho chuka hai pura.
Thank you so much, Siddesh, and thanks, Orgia. I really get your point around pressure that we put on ourselves in general. I do want to let you all know that we are at 8:30. What I would like to do is I would like to actually invite Kamna to see if she has any closing remarks on this. And then Abba, if there is anything that you wanted to do as a host. Again, here's the thing. We have so much to talk. This doesn't need to be the only session that we talk. We are going to have more sessions, and the whole idea of the organization we have built together, Kamna and the rest of the team who are all here. If you see anybody as a co-host, they are part of the team, by the way. So we will have more such conversations. And the goal much more here is freeing our community than actually making them exceptional. So that has always been the motto here. It's about, like Kamna said, playground, come here to play, come here without having to go under a burden and all that stuff. So Kamna, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you so much, Siddharth. I mean, like, the session with Siddesh has been like really, really freeing, I would say, for me as well. The experiences that Siddesh shared, Orgia shared, like it reminded me of like my reading of this book called like Arvinda Diga's The White Tiger. It again talks about exceptionalism and like you have to like, be exceptional in order to be even acknowledged in a Savarna world. While I also understand what the point that Siddesh was making and the point that Orgia was also making, both of them come from a different standpoint, but I get like, where we are at, like we need to work like as per our own, like, standards. I would even like not even standards, but then something like, I mean, whatever is there in our capacity, without having that external pressure to like, to that we have to like, be the white tiger in order to like, fit in a particular standard that is out there for us. We have to define our own standards. Is something that I like, I could deduce from the conversation with Siddesh and Orgia. And I hope all of you have something constructive to take away from this discussion, and it helps you with your like, writing. And this is all from my end, and I would like Abha to discuss the logistical details with you about the session. And in case you have any more doubts, this is for the participants. You can reach out to the mentors. Like I am one of the mentors, so I can put in my email on the chat box, and if you wish to like reach out to me regarding some specific doubt, you can like shoot your doubts.
So Kamna, go ahead and put that in your chat box, and I will kind of drag this out a little so people can then copy from there. Give them a few seconds to copy from there. But also our Instagram and Twitter are pretty closely watched, so we can respond there if that's what you choose to do. Yeah.
But then if I get queries, like
yeah, if somebody wants to directly reach out to you, that's fine. Abba, anything before we close out?
So there's nothing really add. I mean, you and Kamna have pretty much covered everything. But I would really thank everybody who decided to participate in today's mentoring session, and it has been a great experience. Thank you, Siddesh, for giving us your insights. I had a great time, and I'll add my drawings to the folder.
Yes, do it. Like you take a day, two, whatever you have to, but perfection is not the goal. If you have put something together on a piece of paper, and at the end of the day, today, tomorrow, if you feel like it is something you want us all to look at, please post it over into that link that I have shared. I'm going to share it once more here, and then you can we would just like to appreciate what we see over there. So again, you can all drop off, but if anybody wants to for the last time pick the link for the Google album, it's posted in the chat window. And then another 5 seconds and I'll close this meeting. Okay, thank you. Thanks everyone. Bye now.